All right, guys, Wes here. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're back again with another Spider-Man 2 PS5 video. We got some brand new gameplay details that have just recently been revealed. PlayStation just released a brand new blog that showcases how Spider-Man 2 taps into the power of the PS5. It's official, Marvel Spider-Man 2 has gone gold, which means everything is go for launch next month on October 20th. I'm also going to talk about what the potential secret villain in Spider-Man 2 could be. We have a lot of news to go over for Marvel Spider-Man 2, so check the video chapters to optimize your viewing experience. And also, if you want to play Marvel Spider-Man 2 but you don't have a PS5, I'm giving one away to a lucky subscriber, as well as a copy of Marvel Spider-Man 2. So if you guys would like to enter, it's really easy. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, comment your Twitter handle, send me proof on my Twitter or my Discord server, and that will enter you for a chance to win. Check the pinned comment for the full details as well as bonus entries, and I'll be picking the winner at 140k subs. So starting things off with this video, Marvel Spider-Man 2 has officially gone gold, which is great news. That means we are officially going to be getting the game on October 20th of 2023. Marvel Spider-Man 2 has passed the certifications required from PlayStation, and the game is essentially go for launch. According to the Insomniac Games Twitter, they said this, and I quote, "We are gold. We're thrilled to share the news ahead of Marvel Spider-Man 2 PS5's launch on October 20th of 2023 with a few words from the game's cast." If you haven't watched the video, I recommend going to check it out. The legendary Najee Jeter, Yuri Lowenthal, Laura Bailey, and Tony Todd were the ones who officially announced that the game is gold. Now in the video, they put a statement out that says this, and I quote, "We are thrilled to share this milestone achievement with our studio and collaborators at PlayStation and Marvel Games, and with our incredible community around the world. We can't wait for you to experience what we've been cooking up on October 20th. So yeah, for those of you that were concerned that the game had not gone gold yet, and you were anticipating some last minute delay, that is not going to be the case. The game has gone gold and everything is ready for launch, which is just really exciting. By next month, we are all going to be playing Marvel Spider-Man 2. It's just wild to me that we've come this far and we are getting so close, but yet so far away. This next month is going to go so slow that I might need to just disable every clock and calendar in my entire house so I can just stop thinking about how long we're going to have to wait until this game releases. And a huge congrats to the entire team over at Insomniac, Marvel, and PlayStation. We're in the end game now. Moving right along, we've got some brand new gameplay details from none other than Ethan that we featured on my last video. They went all internet detective and gave us some brand new details regarding the tech suit upgrades that are adding another layer of depth to the overall gameplay and traversal. So according to Ethan's tweet, they said this, and I quote, "It seems like the tech suit upgrades with the boot icon will upgrade the speed of traversal in different ways." They then said that this specific tech suit upgrade will increase your web wings turn speed for improved handling. Another thing that I'd like to point out is from Ethan as well, which is actually in regards to how pedestrians will interact and just react to Spider-Man. According to Ethan, he said this, and I quote, "Pedestrians in NYC can sometimes ask for the help of Spider-Man during and after battles and ask you to drop them off at an ambulance or at a specific point in the city." To which they then said that this already sounds so much better than the crimes of the first game, which honestly I think this sounds awesome. Now in the first game, the biggest appeal was just kind of running around the city and just fighting crime and just all of the random world events. But the fact that NPCs and pedestrians in Marvel Spider-Man 2 will ask you for help after a big epic battle is only going to help the overall immersion of the game. Having a world that looks alive but also feels alive and can interact with you as the player is always great to see, and I cannot wait to see this in action. Next up, we've got a new PlayStation blog article to go over that actually gives us some brand new details regarding how Marvel Spider-Man 2 will be utilizing the power of the PlayStation 5 as well as the DualSense controller. Now, as I talked about in the last chapter of this video, the overall immersion of Marvel Spider-Man 2 seems to be cranked up to a level that we are not even ready for. Well, according to PlayStation, the DualSense controller is going to be utilized in some really interesting ways that has me really excited. Now, in the blog, Tim Turi, the content communications manager over at Sony, said that they recently had a chance to play several hours of Marvel Spider-Man 2, and then they gave us some examples of the PS5's power at work. In the first section, they went over some new details regarding the haptics and cinematic immersion. They said that the preview opens with Peter Parker in his new black suit facing off against Kraven amidst church rafters, a massive bell toll sending impactful reverberating ripples through the DualSense controller's haptics. The resonant haptic sensation sells the bell's disruptive effect on the twitching black suit. Cutscenes with the massive stampeding lizard are also accented by intense haptic pulses, emulating the nerve-jangling might of the mutating supervillain. The next section is particle colliding with adaptive triggers. They said one moment in the early preview tasks Peter Parker with helping Harry Osborn align a particle collider's beam emitters. A brief minigame appears when Spider-Man webs the emitters. They said, "I enjoyed carefully pressing the adaptive triggers with asymmetrical levels of pressure and watching on-screen prompts to correctly lock them into place. It's a satisfying novel example of the trigger's accuracy and tactile feedback." The next section goes over the web wings and the SSD that unlocks a very fast and speedy Spidey flight. Web wings gives players a new option to soar over the city. The power of the PlayStation 5 allows Marvel's New York City to load in faster than previous titles. This translates to the speedier movement through the city, including boosting along the wind wind tunnel routes at impressive speeds using the web wings. Spidey's tried and true web swinging is also faster and feels as joyful as ever. Weaving together the traditional web swinging with the new web wings gliding created an empowering and buttery smooth way to traverse the city. They then talked about the iconic characters with deep emotion. They said facial performances unite with an enhanced character model detail to deliver new levels of expression. They said, for example, a heart-to-heart between Miles and Rio wordlessly showcases the concern and love his mother holds for him. Realistic levels of ocular detail heighten expression, like visible capillaries, moistened eyelids, minute eye movements, and nuanced lighting. Emotionally intense scenes benefit from the upgraded facial enhancements as well. Next up, they talked about quickly swapping between Peter and Miles. They said players have two Spideys at their fingertips in Marvel Spider-Man 2, and swapping between them is a snap. The game zooms far above to the bird's eye view of Marvel's New York City when switching between two heroes, and then zooms back into the newly selected Spider-Man elsewhere in the city. It's a seamless and muscular demonstration of the PS5's ultra-fast SSD. So not only is the fast traveling system in Spider-Man 2 amazing, but also switching between Peter and Miles will be almost instantaneous. Rather than having a full cutscene, the game just loads up one location to the other location seamlessly. Next up, they talked a little bit more about the character models and overall realism of Spider-Man 2. They said Insomniac is upping the realism of their character models with simulated musculature. This subtle enhancement makes the character movement look more natural to the eye, similar to the improvements in facial capture. You'll see arm muscles bulge or stretch beneath the superhero's skin-tight suits, or the jaw muscles of Lizard flex convincingly when bellowing a roar. Next up, they talked about the world size. As you know, Marvel Spider-Man 2 is doubling in size basically. They said Marvel Spider-Man 2 turf extends beyond Manhattan to include Brooklyn and Queens in Marvel Spider-Man 2. In the previous games, those areas weren't accessible and were low poly representations of the wider city, but in the sequel, the maps double in size, which they said is also in part due to the PS5, as is the game's ability to render sprawling metropolis at a greater distance. Standing atop a Manhattan skyscraper, you can clearly see the shapes and colors of Brooklyn's traversable skyline. Moving right along, the blog talked about the ray tracing, which I talked about in my last video. They said that both performance and fidelity modes will feature ray tracing in Marvel Spider-Man 2, which is of course thanks to the title launching exclusively on the PS5. The effect is immediately apparent when swinging and gliding across the water. They said one beautiful moment involved traversing over the East River with a setting sun casting a warm glow over the water, including the reflection of the Brooklyn skyline and a splash of hazy red from one of its large neon signs. For this section, they said bustling city life, Spider-Man is nothing without a city to protect, and Marvel's New York is livelier than ever. New York pedestrians are represented by a more diverse array of body types, and enter and exit buildings. They drive down streets in vehicles that display a subtle, authentic bobbing motion of automated suspension systems. In the past Spider-Man titles, players could peep into buildings for a glimpse at the decorated interiors. In Marvel Spider-Man 2, they heighten the detail with actual occupants. So let's say you're climbing on a skyscraper, you can actually see people inside of that building. The blog ends by talking about the 3D audio in the game. They said that Insomniac's audio team implements 3D audio in Marvel Spider-Man 2 with impressive attention to detail. The immersive effects are omnipresent, but two specific sequences stood out to them. A massive bell tolls during a sequence where the black suit-clad Peter squares off with Kraven in a church. The resonant frequency of the bell hits with a convincing punch. Another moment is more gameplay focused, where the player crawling after Lizard through the New York sewers. The claustrophobic sequence is heightened by a 360 range of sound, including creaky pipes, crumbling rubble, and the occasional skittering of Lizard himself. So as I said earlier, they are increasing the level of immersion in Marvel Spider-Man 2 by a factor of 10, and from all of the gameplay we've seen, they really do mean that. This game looks insane, and I guarantee that it's going to feel like that as well. If that blog did not get you excited about the overall immersion in this game, I really don't know it would. We've already seen gameplay that looks insane. We've got all of these details that showcase how the PlayStation 5 will empower Marvel Spider-Man 2, so I don't really know what more you could want. I think the part that I'm most excited about for Spider-Man 2 is to see all of the different ways that the team utilizes the adaptive triggers and the haptic feedback of the DualSense controller. So moving right along, I'd like to talk about the villains in Marvel Spider-Man 2, as well as the possible secret villain we could see revealed in this game. So as it stands right now, the villains that we have confirmed are Venom, obviously, Kraven the Hunter, Lizard, Dr. Kirk Connors, Mr. Negative, Grizzly, and then of course villains like Black Cat, Doc Ock, Kingpin, Prowler, Taskmaster, and so on and so forth. Now as it stands, if those are the only villains we get in Marvel Spider-Man 2, then it's going to be perfectly good. Like, I will be perfectly fine if those are the only villains we get that show up in Marvel Spider-Man 2, but the question kind of remains is what else could happen? Could there be a big twist and other villains that are going to be in the game that we don't know about? Obviously we know that Norman and Harry Osborn play a big role in Marvel Spider-Man on PS4 and on PS5 now, so the Osborn family is going to be very relevant in this game. We know there's going to be some sort of tomfoolery that happens with Harry Osborn. But my question for you guys is, do you think that we get Green Goblin in Marvel Spider-Man 2, or do you think they save him for the next game? It's hard saying. Now, if we don't get Green Goblin revealed during the Spider-Man 2 story, it might be a situation where they try to save him for Marvel Spider-Man 3 if we end up getting that game. I'm of the opinion that I think that he's going to show up in Marvel Spider-Man 2 story. Maybe it's going to be a situation where it's like an end credit scene, similar to how they tease Harry Osborn in Marvel Spider-Man. Like I said, though, it's just some food for thought. Now, if it's not Green Goblin, do you think it's going to be another secret villain revealed in this game? Let me know down in the comment section. Guys, if you enjoyed this video and my coverage of Marvel Spider-Man 2, like the video for me, subscribe to the channel with your notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any future updates. Don't forget to enter the 140,000 subscriber PS5 giveaway. And until next time, this has been Wes, and I will talk to you in the next video.